Ertel?
There we go. Got her.
Oh, we got it.
Got her now.
You know what?
I
I
want
like
to
it
see
better
my
the
ugly
other
mug.
way.
I figured you would. Well, do we have Ms. McGowan on yet?
You do. I'm here. I think we have everybody on the phone, and I appreciate everybody willing to meet on such short notice. I know that there were some questions about the variance and our response back to the county. I was wondering if folks would be willing to introduce themselves so everyone knows who everybody is, and maybe we could start with the county commissioners and staff.
Okay, I'll start off. My name is Keenan Ertel, and I'm a Montezuma County Commissioner.
My name is Larry Don Sukla, and I'm a Montezuma County Commissioner.
I'm Jim Candelaria, and I'm also Montezuma County Commissioner.
My name is Shaq Powers, Montezuma County Administrator.
John Baxter, the County Attorney.
I'm Kent Aiken, and Montezuma County Health Department physician.
I'm Bobby Locke, Montezuma County Public Health Director.
I'm not a Montezuma County Commissioner. I'm Colorado Counties.
And we like John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Okay, how about we do CDPHE folks next?
Hi, this is Kate Lujan with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, and I cover the western side of the state.
This is Ginger Springer. I'm also an epidemiologist with CDPHE.
Hi, this is Rachel Bryan-Ocker. I'm the tribal liaison with CDPHE.
And I think Ace is on. She's helping for, oh, hi, Caitlin. Kate's on for tech support for us because I know how to get on Zoom. I just don't know how to turn it on and manage it. And I'm Karen McGowan. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for CDPHE. And I'm wondering who might be interested in kind of setting the stage for what the county asked in the variance, and then we can talk about the department's response and then maybe some steps moving forward.
I would be happy to talk about what the county asked for in the variance. What we asked for in the variance was to move the restrictions from gatherings of 10 or fewer to include 40% of occupancy at things such as gyms and restaurants. In the governor's press conferences, he had stated that the idea of safer at home was to continue to reduce social interaction by 60%. So the county was requesting to utilize the 40% that was left. And we proposed to do that in our restaurants and in our gyms and other businesses to limit to 40% of occupancy with the precautions of facial coverings, stepped up sanitizing, distancing, and those sorts of things. We asked for those precautions based on, at the time of our submission, decreasing cases over 14 days, low census in the hospital, and even now we still have a low overall case count, even with the new cases, even being at 25 total cases with 2 dead, 1 dead who tested positive for COVID, but COVID was not the count of death. He had alcohol toxicity with the blood alcohol content of 0.55, and 0.3 is the lethal limit. So that was the cause of death on that. And with 12 recoveries, 25 from 15, or 15 from 25, I'm sorry, we only have 10 cases in a county of 28,000 people. And so based on those numbers, we were simply asking the state to allow us the 40% that would be left over if we were to continue in the spirit of the governor's order to reduce interactions by 60%.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions about the county's submittal and request?
This is Commissioner Candelaria, and I have a few, Karen.
Okay.
So in the first paragraph of your variance, at the very bottom of it, it says, and we want to monitor the situation before considering a variance. So monitoring, what kind of a time frame are you saying monitor? How much longer do you want to monitor this? Because it has to be measurable for me in time. Is that a day? Is that 2 days? What is that?
So I think I'm going to defer to our EPIs on the phone. I think in general, when going back to the requirement that we want to see a decreasing trend of cases and a stabilization of what we see for positive cases, but I'm going to let Ginger also fill that in a little bit, or Kate.
Okay, because then I have another, actually I have a few more questions that go along with that. Because in the last 5 days, we've only had 2 cases. So anyway, I'll let her go ahead and talk, and then I'll go on. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I think in terms of time frame, I think that was your first question. The time frame for monitoring would be ongoing until the end of the pandemic. And I think, and I have not been really closely involved in these variance reviews, but in terms of numbers, it's really related to the capacity of the public health department to respond. So in terms of what number would be required to tighten restrictions again, we wouldn't want that number to be whatever your public health department has identified as their maximum capacity. We would want to identify a number that's less than that, so that when we reach that number, we can tighten restrictions before public health capacity is exceeded.
So what the hospital and the public health department had agreed to, and is written in the plan, is that if we were to see a doubling of cases in any 14-day period, that would trigger the reversal of the plan.
And I think it would be important to know, though, what that, where that doubling of cases would fall within the capacity of the health system and public health to respond. Because if that doubling in cases results in approaching capacity for the hospitals or for public health, then that's too late to tighten restrictions.
Right.
Well,
so the hospital has
because
53 beds. The hospital has capacity for 53. We have 10 active cases right now. If we doubled that, we wouldn't even be to half the hospital's capacity.
And plus, I would like to know how many are in the hospitals today being treated for COVID-19. Dr. Aiken, could you answer that for us, please?
Commissioner Ertel, I have not been to the hospital for about a week, and I have not kept track of the diagnosis of the census over there. I would say the number is probably quite low, but I can't give you an exact number. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, the last time I knew an exact number in our hospital, it was 0. So I don't think we are anywhere near approaching capacity. We're not even flexing the COVID-19 muscle in this county. And I just cannot believe in your paragraph, and I'm sorry to interrupt here, but I'm getting passionate about this. You talk about the travelers from areas outside of our area, McLean County, and the hazard that's going on in the Navajo Nation and to Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Those people have been coming to our community since back way before COVID-19 started. They've been coming here since COVID-19 started. They've been going to Walmart, they've been going to City Market, they've been going to Safeway, they've been going to hardware stores. The people, the native people from the Navajo Nation have been coming into our community continually before, during, and up to now, doing business, trading stuff in our community. And this is where we sit with how many active cases, Shaq? 9, 10?
10.
10 active COVID cases? So please tell me how now we are all of a sudden at a great risk to our public health system, to our hospital, if we continue to let these people come to our community and transact business. Somebody tell me. CDPHE, somebody tell me.
So this is Karen, and I think because your neighbors have higher than what we would consider decreasing numbers of COVID, and for some of them, traveling to your community might be closer than traveling somewhere else.
Which they've been doing, and their
Right.
numbers have been increasing since this began.
Well, right
And
now,
they have greater restrictions.
right now they shouldn't be visiting you at all, correct?
Yes, they've been visiting.
Incorrect. Incorrect. They're still in our community.
They never stop
The
coming.
gentleman that died due to alcohol poisoning and did test positive for COVID is a Native American. Okay?
And both the Navajo reservation and Ute reservation were on lockdown at the time.
Right. So I want to let folks know that I did not write the variance, and I am not an epidemiologist. But I think that what the letter is trying to show is that one of the basic tenets is that you have to have decreasing numbers of cases to apply for a variance. And what I'm seeing from this letter is that you are unable to demonstrate a decrease in the number of cases that you have.
So
We
Karen,
decreased
can I
from
ask you a
25.
question? Yeah. Well, I want to ask a question. When does it start? Because our first case was March, what was it, Shaq?
Our first case in Montezuma County was March 28th.
28th of,
Yeah, March 28th. So,
and we
so
were,
when do you start with the number? You said, well, it's ongoing. So don't you have to go from the start? Karen?
I don't know how they measure. I think that it's
How can you make a denial of our variance if you don't know?
because I'm not the one who does the variances. I apologize. I'm the one making a phone call and reaching out to you to talk about how we might be able to help you moving forward and meet what's being asked for or provide the information in the variance.
So this is
Well,
Ginger.
Let's
said
talk
that
about
the-
that for just a minute. You know, my philosophy is that if we can identify the COVID in specific groups or the population groups, such as the homeless, which is mentioned in that letter, and try to get a handle on the COVID in that population such that those people can be isolated in a way that reduces the risk of them to spread it to other members in the community, and through other types of contact tracing and isolation of these cases, which several of them have been traced to contact through New Mexico, that we could allow other portions of our economy to function and to try to open up. So in terms of the letter that you sent, I was wondering if possibly we could provide some more information to the state that shows how we're trying to do all of that and keep this under control without seeing a great big outbreak in the community. Most of the cases that we've had so far have not spread from permanent resident to permanent resident. It's been problems related to the homeless population. It's been some other contact from outside of the area that have come up here because they're either part-time residents or working here. So it would seem to me that the philosophy that some other countries have taken, where they really try to isolate the outbreak within a given group of people in a community and allow many of the rest of the community to try to expand their activities, is not an unreasonable approach. We do have the potential, based on the fact that there are many cases on the borders, post that this could become much worse. But so far we have, seen how we could identify where some of this is. So with your help, and by the way, CDPHE already has provided a lot of help. We've gotten extra tests and other things like PPE that, is helping us to ramp our ability up to meet some of this need. Perhaps we could work together on a plan that would be satisfactory to all of you and help us to get some of the other aspects of our economy functioning. The risk in the hospital, particularly in our community, has to do a lot with the elderly population. And while 2 deaths that have occurred here have been in that population, by and large, those people have not been particularly affected. We certainly want to continue to protect them, to keep the presence of COVID-19 in the community away from them. And I think that we would make every effort to do that. We also need to talk more in detail with the
Dr. Aiken, I hate to interrupt you, but we only have 30 minutes on this call, and we need to make sure that everybody gets a voice.
Sure, I'm sorry. I would just say that if we could work together offline, I think there was ways to resolve some of the questions.
I think I really appreciate that feedback and that willingness to work on some things. Ann Hawes, who has been working on a lot of these variances, gave a presentation today on the DOLA call, and I think her point was, we're trying to help folks get to a yes, but do it in a way that we feel is protective of public health. And so if there's a way that we can work on some of these issues together, we want to help do that and provide some technical assistance. My understanding is that we have a homeless subject matter expert, so we would definitely be willing to work with you on putting together a plan to figure out how we might ensure that that is not an avenue for spreading COVID. So I really appreciate that feedback.
Well, Karen, we gave you a response to your variance denial. Have you had the opportunity to read it? Our administrator sent it to you. So
yes,
what is different about our homeless population than any other county?
Yeah, in Mesa County, what's the difference between us and Mesa County?
That I don't know, and I don't know what the homelessness issue is in Mesa County, and if that's a vector point where that's an avenue for it being spread.
But that was one of the conditions of denial.
Yeah.
Yes, for Montezuma.
Yeah, but you just said you didn't know what our position, what our homeless population was, how it
No, I said I didn't know what Mesa's was. My understanding from this letter is that there is an issue in your county with COVID and the homeless population.
One person.
Yeah. That died from alcohol poisoning.
Well, we've actually had 3 positives in the homeless population. One who died, and 2 of his associates. One who was briefly hospitalized, and another who was placed in isolation. And I think one of the concerns, and again, from what I've already said, I think we can work to manage this, but one of the concerns is that our homeless population has significant levels of interaction with Native Americans across the border of New Mexico and Utah, and that potential for further spread. I think it's manageable, but I think that makes a big difference for our population.
So I'm just going to interject with a couple of thoughts that'll result in a question, or maybe questions that'll result in a thought. But what is the likelihood of the virus still being present next week?
I'm going to let Ginger speak to that, but 100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about next month?
Yeah.
How about next month? Or in a year?
Until we have widespread access to an effective vaccine, we don't really see the virus going anywhere.
And so I guess my concern is that we can't stay locked down until the virus goes anywhere. our health care system asked for time to prepare, and I have faith in our hospital system that they have done the absolute best that they can to prepare. But now they are prepared. They don't have any patients, and the virus isn't going anywhere. And I mean, we can't stay locked down for, weeks
Forever.
or months or years, because as far as I can tell, the virus is just something that the human population has to live with from now on.
Yeah.
Right, and I would just reiterate that our goal is not to keep everybody in lockdown, quote unquote. Our goal is to figure out how we can get folks, how we release the brake pedal a little bit and reintroduce folks in a responsible way.
So
And
how do we do that?
So I would really like for us to look at the issues that have been noted in the letter, and I appreciate the response that you all sent back, and I think that I will share them with our staff who are working on those variances. I would suggest that maybe we offer up some EPI assistance and what we might be looking for as far as number of tests that we'd like to see, number of cases, what that looks like, how we might deal with the homeless population. I guess I would ask too, if your community has talked at all with the tribes, had any communication with them about your plan and how that plan might work together with what they have in place, because it sounds like from your letter that they're very concerned about their community and they put some pretty stringent things in place. Is there a way that we could get the two plans to work together?
No, Karen, I want to ask a question about that, because multiple tribal members are contacting me, and they feel like they're in a prison, and I feel like it's within a matter of days that there might start being rioting on the Ute reservation. And as far as the plans working together, I don't think that'll ever happen. My question is how do you know about our homeless population? Can you tell me who it was from Montezuma County that called you up and said that we had a problem with the homeless population?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, who did they call?
I'm sorry, I don't know. But obviously it's a concern for
Who
the folks who
can I talk
reviewed it.
to that does know who called up there and said we had a problem with the homeless population?
I don't know, I'll try to find out.
Okay,
Good
thank
question. Good question.
So as far as working with the tribe goes, I do have the documentation. Every time I met with the municipal managers or for any of my planning stuff, I always copied Manuel Hart, the tribal chairman, on those invites. And for whatever reason, the tribe did not choose to participate. But if the department would like, I can produce the documentation that they were invited to participate.
And Karen, this is Commissioner Candelaria, can I add one more thing in regards to that? On the first page of your letter, it also states that we would have to have a sign off of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe as a sovereign nation. And this question, I guess, would go to Rachel, but as a sovereign nation,
They don't.
basically on their own, they're not going to sign off on anything that we ever proposed. And in my years of being here, which has been my entire life, they are always on their own. But this mandate that you're stating here, or whoever wrote the letter, that's a challenge that will never be achieved, and it's unrealistic. And I would like to see that absolutely totally stricken, because they are a sovereign nation. They are in a lockdown mode where they immediately shut down all of their people. So they operate under a totally different purview than the rest of us. So I would like immediately to have that stricken, because it's unrealistic.
Good point.
Thanks for the feedback. I'm just trying to figure out how we might be able to work on a couple of things moving forward so that we can get to a yes. I cannot address the requirement for getting support from the Ute Mountain Ute tribe at this point, because I think that is now in the public health order. But I think so if we could table that for now. I think there are other things that we could work on together to be clear about what we'd like to see as far as preventing further spread in your homeless population, making sure that your positive cases are heading in a flat or a downward trend, and what we might be more clear with the county as to the time frame in which we're considering what that looks like, total positive cases, and whether or not they're flat or decreasing. Working on what testing and what your contact tracing capabilities are. So if you do get a positive case, that we're confident that we can be really swift and quick about putting someone in quarantine so it doesn't spread. I think those are very concrete things that we can work on together. The other piece that's beyond my pay grade.
Okay, so Karen, you said, I just want to recap, number of tests, number of cases, and how we prevent further spread in the population experiencing homelessness, and that for now to table how we can work with the tribe. When can we expect guidance on what you want to see for number of tests, number of cases, and procedures for preventing further spread amongst the population experiencing homelessness? When could we expect the guidance on that?
I'm going to ask Kate and Ginger if they could kind of noodle their way through this with your local public health director, so that we could be clear about putting a plan together that can be pass the muster, so to speak, in the variance request. And then I really appreciate that you all are trying to also address how you might deal with folks who are visiting from outside the county who might have higher cases. I think that that's a really good step in the right direction. So let's have the EPIs review that piece as well.
Karen, do you have a time frame of when Kate and them might be able to address that, when they would have that work done?
Sure. Kate and Bobby and Ginger, is it possible that we might be able to have a plan of some sort fleshed out by Monday?
I think that's a reasonable timeline to start planning. I need to circle back with Rachel Herlihy about the variance and make sure that I understand all of the elements and thought that went into that before we take too many steps forward. But I think we can work with Bobby and start working in that direction.
Was that Kate?
That was Ginger.
Oh, Ginger. Kate, I heard that Kate was the representative on the Western Slope. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is Kate. Yep. I believe
so
that.
Kate, where do you live?
I live in Fruta.
Fruta. Well, I wonder, it's a picture's worth 1,000 words. Would you be willing to come down here and see our homeless population for yourself? And then I'll take you over to La Plata County. And
I actually have been all across the Western Slope and have experienced the homeless population and responded to other outbreaks. So I know that it is very transient, and they're here today, gone tomorrow. I know we've tracked people for other communicable diseases such as hepatitis A and tuberculosis. So I know how transient the population is. And I know how difficult it is to get that population to trust us and to follow up on public health guidance and to get testing or vaccine. So I understand some of the challenges related to the working with that population.
This is Commissioner Ertel, and I have one statement to make, and then I'll be done for the day, and I'll be done for a long time. It is unconstitutional, it is unconscionable for this state to hold our business people in this community hostage, driving them into absolute bankruptcy and total financial disrepair over the number of cases that we have in this county and the population it's in this county, which is the homeless alcoholic population that lives in our park system and in our sagebrush, and to hold our businesses hostage and drive them into absolute destitution because we're waiting for a couple of numbers, one or two here, one or two there, to change, I think is absolutely unconscionable. And I believe it's unconstitutional for the state and our governor to be doing this. And I'll tell you what, I will not say anything to any business in this county or community that chooses to open their doors. I will not say one thing against them.
I'm with Commissioner Ertel.
Goodbye.
Karen, I also have one thing, Commissioner Candelaria here, you know, reading this in the second paragraph, San Juan County and McKinley County is really a lot of this driving force here, which, you know, where McKinley County is 100 miles to the south, San Juan County 50 miles to the south, but yet we're being penalized. What those guys are under harder, further, stricter restrictions than anything in the state of Colorado, and I don't think that's quite fair with the number of cases that we currently show at the 25, and 10, actually only 10 active as of right now. Our hospital is prepared. I think Dr. Aiken expressed that. You know, 60 days ago, we probably weren't. I don't think anybody was. But those cases are typically going to go into San Juan and McKinley County. Some do come here, obviously, but we're being held hostage against what does come here. And I don't think our numbers, that data doesn't prove that those counties should be held against us for the denial of this variance.
Yeah, I understand. It's hard to feel like you're being asked to take responsibility for folks outside of your jurisdiction. So I actually really was very appreciative of your response where, you know, maybe you could let folks know that your community is open for your community for business. You're discouraging people from visiting because your cases, you're trying to contain them, keep them low. I was very appreciative of you guys addressing that. And so maybe that's something we could build off of.
So by Friday, you'll have us an answer with Kate and Ginger, and or give us some better guidance as to what or how we move forward.
Yes, at minimum, we can try to flesh out some next steps and things that we will want to see happen or be in a variance request so that we can get this moving forward.
So here's the last ask that I have. If McKinley County and San Juan County are of such great concern to the state of Colorado, I'm going to ask for, can we get another testing machine and tests that come down here, since this population is such a negative impact to Colorado? Can you help us, CDPHE, get more testing and test capability down here by the end of the week?
Okay, I hear that request and I am writing it down right now. I know this is frustrating and I appreciate everyone's time today, and I appreciate the folks who stayed on to have the conversation. I will say what I've said a lot about this whole experience. It's very unsatisfying and frustrating, and we appreciate everyone's patience and understanding that our main goal is to protect the public health, protect everyone's health, and trying to work with counties on how we, ensure that we do that the best that we can, best of our capabilities. And so we'll circle back around with some ideas and some next steps, and hopefully, like I said, we can keep this moving forward. I really appreciate everyone's time today.
Hey, Karen?
Yes. Yes, John.
I just wanted to make one comment to the commissioner that's still on and the county administrator. I've worked with Karen for a really long time, and she is a straight shooter, and she's someone that you can work with. She's a solid professional, and she's always tries to work with folks to get to a better place. And I think it's worth the investment of time to work with CDPHE here. They're also, like you, in very difficult circumstances. And I would just say that my experience in working with Karen, over the many years that I've worked with her has been positive, and she tries to work toward a positive outcome. So it's worth the effort.
I appreciate that, John. Thank you. And, I'm coming to the table with best intentions, and I hope that you all trust that I'm coming to the table with best intentions. And my job is to figure out how we can work better together and come up with a resolution and a good solution. So you have my commitment to helping make that happen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, everybody. We'll check back soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.